Hey, well, hello everyone. I can see some of you, which is fun. Others, it's all good. Do your thing. Um, yeah, so like Lorena said, I'm Haley. A little bit about me. If you haven't seen me before, I've done this a couple times, which is really cool. I love coming to talk to you guys. I graduated from ASU in 2008. My degree was in business management, and I also had a certificate in small business and entrepreneurship. I'm not sure if they still do that, but that was like the thing I was the most interested in was entrepreneurship and writing a business plan and doing all the things that go with that certificate. So that was really cool. There was no fashion program when I went to ASU. So after I graduated, I moved to LA, went to FITM. I was able to do an accelerated associate's degree in 15 months rather than like the full 2 years because I had a 4-year degree. And I would highly recommend that if you're thinking of going into like FITM or FIT or one of those schools, look into like a kind of graduate type program because it saved me from having to do like math and English and like the general studies classes you've already done years ago. So I was lucky enough to get an internship while I was in school at Nation Ltd, which is a women's contemporary t-shirt line. It was really the heyday of women's contemporary tees back in 2008. That was like the beginning of, celebrities being photographed in like off-duty kind of looks. And LA was like certainly a hub for, people like Paris Hilton and like that whole crew was still going on. So that was a really great learning experience. After I was an intern, I got a job there working in customer service, which was super boring, but I got to see like the day-to-day of the business and really get to know everyone and their jobs, which was great. And then when the assistant designer quit, I took her job. So right place, right time, but also right skills and right attitude. Cause I was like, I'll do anything. I just like want to learn this job. I'll do the best I can. And thankfully they gave me a chance, which was really great. So after 5 years there, my husband and I moved up to the Bay Area, and I was lucky enough through a recruiting agency to find my literal dream job at Camp Collection. Camp is a clothing brand inspired by summer camp memories. I went to summer camp, so it was a perfect fit. A husband and wife team, who are the owners, started it in 2014 because of their shared love of going to summer camp as kids. They thought it would be a great theme for a brand, and turns out they were right. So they found me in 2014 and the rest was history. So I've been part of creating the branding, styling, and design since the beginning, which is really cool to like grow a brand. And what we started out as is nothing like what we are now, which is also really good. So we have a retail line, which we sell on our website. And we also do a lot of blanks and custom projects for other brands. So as design director, I plan and design all the collections, graphics, and I also oversee marketing and production to make sure that everything's in alignment with the brand. The female owner of the husband and wife team is our creative director, and she's really just the like idea generator of the brand. Like she will have a wild idea on a Monday, and then by Friday we're having a photo shoot. So she's like the nucleus of everything, and we all just like say yes and do this and build on what she's doing. So it's pretty cool to see her in action and how we all just kind of come together and like make an idea real. So on the custom side of things, I've created product for Free People, Lollapalooza, Casey Musgraves last year, which was really cool, and some other musicians and bands and organizations. And it's really fun to apply the camp aesthetic to these projects. And I think the reason it's so fun and easy to do is because the brand is so fun. So I'm going to share my screen. I made a little PowerPoint because I don't get to do PowerPoint anymore. So it's really fun to do it when I can. And I'll show you examples of Camp's branding and hopefully give you some ideas on how you can create your own. So let's try to share the screen now. I think it will work. Okay. Do that. We'll open this. Okay, can you all see that?
Looking good.
Great. Can I make this smaller? No, I'm gonna put you guys down here on the side. Okay, cool. This is actually great because I can look at my notes. All right, so as it says at the top, branding is a through line between, and then we have the style guide, which I'll go into more detail on, the product, which includes the look and feel as well as any like trims and things. And then we have the lifestyle and product imagery. So camp has a strong brand identity, which is enforced by all of these things, and it allows us to maintain consistency throughout everything we do. So we're always thinking about brand. And just important to think about what your brand is to also think about what your brand isn't. So camp is summer camp, nostalgic, vintage inspired, groups of friends having fun, happy, silly, not taking yourself too seriously. As you can see, these are all brand images. Everybody seems like they're having a pretty good time, especially this girl on the sled right here. At the same time, camp is not camping, hippie, retro, or 1970s, sophisticated, sexy, or glam, pretentious, serious, or dark. So a lot of times people see camp and they immediately think camping. So our whole thing is we're summer camp, not camping, because camping is very like outdoorsy and like hiking in nature. And while summer camp includes that, it's not only that. So that's kind of how we explain it to people. So it's a good idea to sort of start out with a general outline like this. And these standards can, of course, evolve over time and change as you change, but they will sort of be like your North Star as you make decisions. Everything from like, what am I going to post on Instagram today to I'm planning a 3-day photo shoot. What's it going to look like? So having these guidelines is a really great thing to fall back on when you're making decisions. So the next part of this is the style guide. So figuring out who you are and what your visual kind of look is going to be also will help reinforce your message and not distract from, you know, what you're trying to do. So that includes colors and fonts. For other brands, this might include patterns, logos, motifs. Louis Vuitton's great example. You all know that logo motif. We don't do anything like that, pretty simple, but I would say camp is known for color blocking, which I'll show you in a little bit. So choosing standard fonts, and it's good to have a variety because you have like header text, you have copy, you want some of it to be readable, you want some of it to be more interesting. It's good to have a style guide so you remember like, okay, I had a handwritten font, I can't remember what it's called, I need to use it for this thing, and then you just like choose another one. And we've all been there, trust me. But having your fonts like named, written out in a doc, saved, will help you like stay consistent. So also like the colors, these are like the camp colors. I don't only design with these colors, but they kind of lead the way and guide me. And they make some really great color combinations, which is also awesome. Something that I use a lot, you'll see at the bottom, is the Unconventional Rainbow. So this is just a 5-color stripe combo that I'll pull from our palette. This happens to be my presentation rainbow because it's easy to see, it makes a good border. I use it on everything from pitches to customers to trim on our sweatshirts. So it's kind of become our little thing, which is really fun. And when you're doing presentations, it kind of creates a border on the page and it also fills empty space. So that's kind of another thing I use it for. It's a good idea if you're doing presentations, whether it's for school or for work, to have these like sort of elements on your page that will help you make it really pop and like make it interesting, because nobody's printing things out these days. So having it like pop on the screen is really good. Okay, so next we'll move into marketing. So email marketing, you know, I'm sure you all get a lot. I do too. How do you make email marketing on brand? So we were going to have a sale. We thought, okay, what do you do at the end of camp? You clean out your cabin. Thus became the cabin clean out sale. So that worked out great. Basically, we think about the message we want to like portray, and then we campify it. So this is where our creative director comes in. She usually swoops in with the little like taglines or names for things that we just like can't quite grasp. So cabin clean out is a great way to market sales. So our customers always know, okay, if they see cabin cleanup, they know it's everything's $30 and under, huge deals, people love it. So our marketing is always fun, colorful. You know, you can probably see we use a couple of the same fonts that you saw on the previous slide. We refer to our customers as campers, and we usually do it in all caps, like is on the email. We also put camp in all caps, which mostly just kind of makes it stand out. There isn't a real reason behind it. We just started doing it one day and it really stuck. So we always do it now. We refer to nostalgic things like Squeeze-Its and Skip-Its and things that'll basically like jog someone's memory. And, you know, the voice of camp is very playful and fun, conversational. And what the copy is saying is always going to match what the image is doing too, which is important because you want your message and your imagery to match. So we really consider all this stuff. It seems like such minor things, but as you grow and build your brand, people start to get, you know, excited about little things. Like in the picture, she's on an old AIM chat window, and we just Photoshopped that onto the photo, but it's like so fun. And like, if you remember that, if you did that, or, you know, if your older siblings did or something, you have like a memory of it. So it's pretty cool to like incorporate those elements in. So the style guide is also going to apply to the product. Oh wait, I skipped a slide. Hold on. Okay, now I'm going backwards. Hold on. I told you I know how to use PowerPoint, and then here I go. Okay, social media. Here we go. Okay, last thing. So social media is super important, and if you saw the flyer for this meeting, you probably saw camp, and maybe you looked at the brand, I don't know. But basically, we mix nostalgic images from pop culture, like movies, TV, games, you name it, with our brand pictures, so that it's not always like, hey, we're trying to sell you something all the time. Like, we really do want people to experience the brand, and in the memes and old technology and things we post, it's fun for us too. So like, we're trying to just create like a whole camp world that we want to invite people into and enjoy, and hopefully it, you know, brings back good memories for them. So we also do contests on Instagram, which is a really good way to get people involved. This one was a tell us about your first period story. It got 144 comments, which is a lot. Like, you know, Instagram's got a lot of algorithm stuff going on, but a lot of people had a story, which was great. And going through to pick the contest winners was really fun. So that also involves our campers and makes people feel like they're part of the brand. So contests are really fun, and you know, you can get some ideas from them too. Sometimes we asked some people what their first CD was, and the age range was like huge. It was like, you know, people who are probably in their 50s and 60s down to like, you know, people who are in high school. So it was a very interesting you know, response, but it was good because we got to see like, okay, this is who our campers are, and we got to really interact with them. Another thing we do that's just pretty fun is camper of the week. So if you wear camp and you tag us in your photo and we find it, we share it on our story. And we don't do it every week, but it is really cool to like see people wearing stuff that I designed, and it's like, oh, you know, it's like really cool. So camper of the week is another great way to like recognize campers for like being part of our little universe. So also when we have customer service, like if somebody has a question about their order or product, our customer service reps are super familiar with the camp voice too. They are like super friendly, and you know, that stuff's so important. I'm sure you've all had issues with your shipping or whatever, and you've had to reach out to brands, and maybe you didn't get a response right away. Maybe it wasn't the nicest response, whatever. If you email us, we'll always get you what you need and give you a nice response. So that's something we really pride ourselves on too. Okay, so now we're going to talk about product. I got ahead of my PowerPoint, so I just didn't click on the right button. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is my favorite part. If you lead with the product, everything else will fall into place. And I truly believe this. If you have a strong product, the story will write itself pretty much. So always think about product. You get to see the animation again. Always think about what you're doing to improve upon your product and make it true to your brand. I'm pretty biased, obviously, but I think that camp is colorful, fun, detailed. It's got like a little bit of everyone on our staff in it and a lot of me in it. So when I put product out, I'm like always putting out the thing that I'm most like proud of and excited about. And that's just really cool and fun. So it's good to be excited. Okay, so here are some of the branding elements we use on almost all the clothes. We have a hang tag that we designed, which is like crumpled craft paper, and it's got a little twine rope for the string. It's got fun copy on the back. It looks like it's hand stamped, and that goes on every shirt. And then we have this design detail, which I thought of, called the locker loop. And it's kind of like a cute little way to hang up your shirt on a hook, but it's just like a vintagey thing. You see it on old shirts. You see it on like button-down shirts sometimes too. And I just really like it. And the color is usually the color of the neckband, so it like matches. We have a custom label where if you flip up the label, it says best camp friends forever underneath, which I just think is like a really cute detail. It's really fun, not expecting it. And then on our main label, the edges are frayed. So when you wash it, the more times you wash it, like the more frayed it gets, and it gets like crumpled, and it just looks like a super old vintage label, which I think is fun. And then last thing, we put the twill tape right here in the back neck to cover that seam. Just keeps it like real clean finish and nice. Other brands do this. It's not like that exciting, but it's always nice when you're hanging the shirt on the hanger. It just like looks clean. So these little details, although they're small, they are consistent across all of our products. So if you buy a camp shirt from Free People, the label might say camp by Free People, but it's still going to have the frayed effect. It's still going to have the twill tape. So like all this stuff was super thought out. And from the beginning, we've tried to maintain most of these elements. So pretty cool. Okay, so when I start to work on new designs, first thing I do is my research. And research is like not as serious as it sounds. Sometimes it's just watching old TV shows or movies, but really like thinking about what I'm gonna do and making sure I spend my time effectively while I'm doing it. So I try to plan a little bit. I have tons and tons of images saved. Anytime I see something I like, I save it. And that's really important if you are a designer or wanna be one. You just have to squirrel things away for later because you never know, like, okay, you might have a bad day. You might hit a slump and you might have to design, you know, a custom collection for some customer that you weren't expecting. So it's always great to have those things to fall back on. So I squirrel away all kinds of things. I like to look at art books for color ideas. I look at our old product and current product. I see what's selling because it is good to build off of existing designs. And as you can see with these three camp tees in the middle, they all have some kind of color block element. So I'm always thinking about color blocking. I'm always thinking about the color combinations, and that kind of guides what I do as well. Just some other little things on here. I have some fabric swatches and trims, graphic tees, some vintage images in the middle, and then on the right side is a camp lookbook that I really like, and I look at as it just makes me like smile and happy and kind of like reminds me like this is why you do it. So I like to look at those pictures, and they always give me like other random ideas because I could take like the stripe trim from her pants and put it somewhere else. So really the possibilities are endless, but having this stuff kind of out in front of you and you're creating really helps you focus and like, you know, get to the end goal, which is ultimately a collection and getting it produced and selling it. So like their time is always ticking, and this sort of makes me feel like a little bit more organized. So I love the research part. It's like the exploratory phase for sure. So if I'm designing products for another customer or for an event, I always actually do research into that customer. So I look at their website usually, try to figure out what their brand identity is and who their customer is. I look at you know, what they might have done in the past, what colors and silhouettes they kind of go to. And then I also think about what's missing. So like, what could I add? Like, what would be really fun to complement what they already have? And then I also think about like, what from camp is a good match for them? Is it our colors? Is it our trims? Is it our turtlenecks? And that leads the way as well. So these are all turtlenecks I did for Free People over the last couple of years. When I'm designing for a customer like Free People, it is really important that we kind of sit with their other products. So I usually look at like, it's hard because it's so far in advance, but I'll look like right now, I'll look at winter stuff to start preparing for next winter for them, because it all kind of stays the same with Free People. So it's pretty easy to just like work camp in there. But for example, if I was designing for Lollapalooza, I would want to make the shirt like very simple, because the focus is going to be on like the artwork and the lineup and other things that are going on the shirt, rather than like the crazy trims or bright colors or that sort of stuff. So thinking about the customer is super important, and basically they're the end user of the product. So what are they looking for? What do they want? So next thing, the product won't matter at all unless you can make it look good, right? So in brand imagery, authenticity is everything. This picture is a great example, because it caught our girls at like the funniest moment. Those cucumbers would not stay on their eyes. They were like, are we doing this right? These cucumbers are really cold. It was funny. So, and I think it shows in the photo, right? So authenticity in product imagery means everything from the synergy between the lighting, the models, the styling, and the props, which is all different layers I'll go through. Their poses, the setting they're in. Would they actually be doing this in real life? That's really important to ask when you're at a photo shoot, because they can be awkward and you don't know where to put your hands if you're me. Emotions and smiles can't be over exaggerated. It'll look super fake. The model should look comfortable and feel comfortable, but portray like the vibe you're trying to show, which is that of like they're having fun, it's all good. And basically, if something feels cheesy, it's going to read as cheesy. So anything that's photographed is like magnified. So it's important to like think about this stuff before you do a shoot too. So also important with brand imagery is consistency. So like I've already talked about with the products and the style guide, you have to pay attention to all this stuff all the time, which if you kind of live your brand, which if you create it, you will, it becomes a part of you, but it is something you have to teach to others and help them understand like, okay, it's this, but not this. And I'll show you some examples, but it can be hard at first, especially if someone, you know, like maybe they didn't go to summer camp. And so you have to kind of explain to them what that's like. And you start a little bit farther back. It's definitely possible and totally fine if they didn't go to summer camp, but you have to like kind of catch them up, get them up to speed sort of thing. The other thing is can't be afraid to speak up if something isn't right. We call this, if you see something, say something, which is that thing from the airport, but we apply it to everything we do. If like the copy in an email isn't right, you know, you say something. If, you know, the color combination of something I designed isn't weird, I would want somebody to tell me. Like it's all about, you know, this camp universe and making it all fit together. And so it's a team effort. You know, all of us have sort of our role in paying attention to that stuff. And then of course you have to be willing to evolve and change over time. So our imagery in the beginning was very different because it was 2014 than it is now. This was pre-pandemic. So most of our lookbook imagery now, they have masks on because that's what they had when they were at the shoot. So it's good to like, you know, evolve and not try to resist things that are changing and just go with it and make it your own. So now I'm going to show you some examples. So for camp, authentic settings are pretty much anywhere outside. Basketball courts, parks, skate parks, amusement parks, actual summer camps, which we've had the pleasure of shooting at a few of those, which is really cool. Schools, so like lockers, bleachers, like that kind of vibe. Lakes, rivers, neighborhoods are great, older houses, basements. Anytime we shoot indoors, we make sure that the interior is not modern. So in this photo on the left side, the only things that were there were the beds and the wood paneled walls. We brought everything else. So the bedding, the toys, the posters, like we thought of everything that you would have at a 90s sleepover, and we brought it. Got it, a lot of it on eBay, which is great. So pretty much whenever it's indoors, we have to decorate heavily. We don't want anything like too modern or, things that wouldn't be authentic to the setting. Okay, so here's some examples of inauthentic settings. When things are too new, like new cars, this picture at the top, it's too much concrete. It's like, that's cool for a different type of brand, but for us, it's like, why is she standing there? I don't know. This outfit on the left, that's not what I would wear to a liquor store. I don't know. What she's wearing does not match the setting at all. Same goes for the bottom left. How is she gonna roller skate where she is? It just doesn't work. She should be like at a cool roller disco or something, but not in the middle of the desert. And then on the right side, the props and the poses feel super staged. The way she's holding the camera, she's pointing like at her waist. You have to make sure if you're going to use props that they like blend in and that they make sense. But here it got a little cheesy, so we didn't end up using those photos, which is okay too, because again, if it's not right, don't push it. Okay, so next, there we go. Oops, I went too far. Man, it's like this PowerPoint is so sensitive. Okay, let's go to styling. Okay, so styling is super important too. Camp clothes have to be the star in the photo shoot because that's what we're trying to sell. So you can't cover them with a big jacket. You can't put a big jumpsuit. And with the jeans, you have to keep them like kind of simple. Otherwise, every single comment will be, where are those jeans from? So we try to make things not distract from the clothes, nothing too crisp or modern. And again, not distracting from the product. So in all these photos, you can see they have super simple belts on. They have funky glasses on, but that's it. When it comes to like complementary items, denim, corduroy, terry cloth, all good. Glasses, sunglasses, berets, and then shoes. We pretty much stick to Converse, but we also do some like, Vans, Doc Martens, Nikes. And usually we just have girls go barefoot because that's easiest. Inauthentic styling is a lot easier to spot, I think, now that you've seen that other slide. So it's a lot of distracting bottoms happening over here. So she's got really highly printed pants, which are just, you're not looking at the shirt, you're looking at the pants. Down here, she's got hot pants on, but she appears to be in a forest. And then this gal has a skirt over jeans, but then she's holding a map in a strange way, which is kind of distracting too. So the more you look at this stuff and you see, that's not what I was looking for, it's a lot easier to see what you are looking for. Continuing on, these boots are way too sexy to go with our little sweatshirt top and too modern of a setting as well. Down the center, the denim is all too new. Ripped jeans are okay, but they're a little distracting. We want to, again, focus on the tops. And then these black socks, it's like the first thing you see. It's just way too distracting. Put fun socks on. I don't know. There's lots that could happen there. And then continuing on, these girls in the bodysuits, they need some like shorts or pants or something to complete their look. They look underdressed. So as you can see, there's like too much and not enough, but you know when you see it, which is kind of hard to explain to a photographer, but they learn with you, so it's good. Okay, same goes with hair and makeup. We stay super natural, little to no makeup, very undone hair, braids are great, wavy's great. We try to stay away from like super like heavy makeup, fresh curls. anything that, again, is going to distract from the clothes. So we ask our models that are coming to the shoot, like, don't do your hair, just do it how you would wake up and do it. Like, it does not need to be fancy. And we've never had a shoot where we've put makeup on gals or done their hair, because it's just not something we do. Props are another thing that is really important. You don't want them to distract from the clothes. So props should always be nostalgic or memorable. Older technology is great. Snacks are great. Board games, that sort of stuff. As you can see on the left side, the props are pretty much like complementing the image. They're not distracting from it. On the other side, we stay away from new crisp props. We don't want any camping equipment because we're summer camp, not camping. New technology, so no iPhones. We had a lookbook shoot where this girl, one of the models had left her iPhone like on the chair, and so it was in like all the photos. So we had to Photoshop it out. It was a whole thing. It's important to like pay attention to that stuff on set too. We also stay away from like drugs, alcohol, smoking. We can kind of hint at drinking a little bit, but we don't want to show anything that's going to turn anybody off, pretty much. And you may notice the thermos. So on the right side, that's a new thermos, like brand new, but on the left side, those are vintage. So you can really like see how the vintage props enhance like what we're doing, and the newer props, like the arrow quiver things in the top photo, it's not adding anything to it. So props are important. They should always blend in with the environment. Okay, so we're already at the end, so lots of time for questions. Basically, you've got your style guide, so you got to think about the way your brand looks, the copy, the colors. You researched your products, so you know what you're going to do. It's all going to be cohesive together. And then your brand imagery is going to be strong and authentic and wonderful. So here are the takeaways. These are some like thinking questions, I guess. So think about brands you like. What about their branding do you like, don't like? Pay attention really to things that like stick with you. Think about what your favorite colors, fonts, design elements are. I think I've said it like 40 times, but I love color blocking and I use it almost everywhere. I also love an unconventional rainbow. I put that on everything. And it kind of just becomes part of the brand DNA. And the last thing, most important thing, no matter what type of job you want to do, whether you want to work in marketing or design, keep your eyes and ears open for what inspires you, and like take a picture, write it down. Like I have tons of books of collages, like anything you can do to sort of build your little library, and things you squirrel away to inspire you for later is always a good thing. So that's it. I hear your silent clapping. I love it. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Trust me, it was loud as hell.
Oh, thank you. So who has questions?
I will go first. I had a branding question, but it just slipped my mind, so I'm going to ask you a different one right now. I hope you can forgive me.
That's fine.
So being a designer, are you responsible for making the tech packs that are sent to your manufacturer? And I was wondering if you could kind of guide us through that process a little bit, like important things to include.
Yeah, sure. So we work really closely with our manufacturer. He's just down the street from our office, which is pretty cool. He pretty much at this point understands what I'm trying to do. So we have our own little like unwritten language. So I don't do tech packs. Actually, I started out doing them. It ended up being so much work for me that was unnecessary because we're just making t-shirts. So what I do is, I can actually show you. I can pull one up on my computer. What I'll do is like a page that has the details of the style, if it takes any trim, if there's any like weird things, like this shirt I'm wearing has a little baby snap right here. So things I want to call out, but I don't put it into like a whole thing or Excel or anything because again, we're making t-shirts. And a lot of the time, he'll also have a sample to reference, and that's actually even easier because he can just show his cutter, okay, we're gonna cut this, and they can show his sewers, okay, we're gonna sew this, and Does it look like the thing? Yes, good, ship it. Like it's just so much easier. I know when you do production overseas, which I have done a little bit in the past, you do have to do tech packs because it's super important that the measurements are right on and that you have all the details and call outs and things like that. So I guess you could say I do like a hybrid kind of thing. Okay, here I got one. I'll screen share again. You're gonna laugh at how simple it is. Okay. Okay. So this just has a little CAD drawing of the sweatshirt. I called out right here, white piping. And then he's got like a library of trims, so he'll know, okay, it's that particular unconventional rainbow trim. It shows the label, how many units, I issue a PO number, and then how many of each size we're cutting. Right here, I say that the loop, the little locker loop on the back is going to be made of twill tape. So that's another like special detail we do. And then yes, I want twill tape in the back neck. Don't want a hang tag, want a care label. So super simple. I do this for every like production order, just so that our team also knows what they're looking at and what it's supposed to look like. But it really is all about having that sample and supporting that way. So if you can get away with this, this is obviously much easier. I was sort of in a position where I got to decide that. Sometimes at a bigger company, it's like, no, we're doing tech packs and you have to do it. But I do find that things are changing a little bit. And even the way you work with overseas manufacturers is changing a little bit because they're getting more adept with technology as we are. And really like there isn't a language barrier anymore. We've worked with factories in China before, like in the past, and they speak English and there's no problem. So if anything, like the metric system becomes a problem because we don't use it here and I wish we did. But again, that's all like, they have ways of figuring that out. So I don't worry about that. But yeah, it's really just about having the visual for my people. So a
Gotcha.
good
Thank you so
question.
much. Oh yeah, thank you so much for showing us that. And I remember the other question. I'll ask
Oh,
real quick.
good.
Um, no, I can't forget it again. Okay. Do you keep like would you say like a large collection or archive of your past designs? Like I know you said you referenced those past photos of photo shoots just because you know that was exactly what you're going for and it makes you happy. But do you keep like an archive that you reference for new designs, or do you not really care for that and you want to like keep creating new stuff? You're worried that perhaps you just I don't know, be doing the same thing over and over again if you were referencing that stuff?
That's a great question. It's actually easier to like start with something than to just create things out of thin air. So when it comes to pattern making and that sort of side of design, I always start with a different like style we've done in the past, even if it's just like a ringer tee. But for example, say I want to make this into a turtleneck, this long sleeve tee, it's pretty easy. The pattern maker just needs to close up this Henley part and then add the turtle part and she's done. Whereas, you know, if you're in pattern making classes or if you've seen how that's done, you don't have to start from scratch every time like you might in school. So yeah, I always use old stuff. I always reference it. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I have a rack right here next to my desk, right behind me. Those are some of my like greatest hits. You'll see this is that blue shirt that was on the slide there. I keep that stuff close so that I can look at it, measure it, you know, kind of see what I'm doing. And then another thing I do that I can show you on the drive, the Google Drive, I keep image references of everything too. So if I say am working on a project for Lollapalooza and they need a certain amount of tops and maybe they want some shorts, I'm not going to remember off the top of my head which tops I did a year ago. I can barely remember what I did yesterday. So what I did is I made myself this quick graph guide. And actually, I don't think my coworkers even know about this, but super secret. So I have it sorted by style. So these are all the long sleeve tops, long sleeve, lots of long sleeves, sweatshirts, And I know what everything's called, so I just have the picture, you know, I keep it simple for myself. Here's lots of short sleeves, more short sleeves. So this took me a couple hours to make, but I have an image library organized by season, so I was able to kind of drag and drop. But sorting it by what it is super helpful because I'm very visual, in case you couldn't tell by my books. So having even just this page of V-necks, I can go to Lollapalooza and say, okay, these are some of our best like V-neck tees. We can put your little graphic right on the chest or on the back, done. Or say they're like, okay, I like this top on the top left. I like that it's cropped. I like the panels, but can you make it a crew neck? Yes, of course, obviously. So it also makes like kind of a la carte design, which is often what happens with custom projects, a little easier on the customer too. Here's tank tops, here's turtlenecks. And it's really fun to like see kind of how things have evolved. I mean, to some of you, this might all look the same, but each of these is like my child that I like birthed kind of. So it's nice to see the evolution and like what's changed. And I also have a section, styles with front paneling. So if you have front paneling, you can't print a graphic there. So this is to remind me, okay, maybe don't pitch these because if the person wants a graphic tee, they're going to need a print on it. So I have all the other stuff that isn't as like printable, but is really fun if you have like a really cool color palette or something. So yeah, so that's one of my many visual Google Docs that I just, you know, I use Google Docs because I can access it from anywhere, but you could really do that like in any format. So yeah.
That was so cool. Thank you for
Sneak
giving
peek.
That was
look.
amazing.
No one's ever seen that. You guys are the first.
I feel very lucky.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What program do you use to design things? Do you recommend it? And how did you learn how to use it?
Oh goodness. I use Illustrator all day, every day. I have a little croquis, a little lady that I draw the CADs on, but I also use it when I'm working on marketing stuff or if I'm putting together like a bunch of images. I just use Illustrator because it's, to me, Photoshop is like, I don't want to manipulate it. I just want to like present it. So that's what I use as my tool. I also, and I have my iPad here, I also use this really great app called Pret a Template, probably pronouncing that wrong. But basically I have the Apple Pencil. I don't know if you can see that. It's got the figures.
Oh,
some of you are nodding, so you're like familiar with this.
Yeah.
I use this when I'm like on the go, which is never now. Like if I go sit in the chair, I'll use this. But I eventually do have to put things into Illustrator, but I just have like hundreds of pages of like things that I've drawn. And if I have a little idea, like at night, I'll just like start a page and I'll try to like make myself finish a page. I learned Illustrator at FITM, and there's so much like stuff on YouTube now. Like YouTube wasn't even a thing when I was in college, which makes me really old, but you can learn how to draw the flats in Illustrator and it kind of translates onto what you do in the app. It's like all kind of the same. And again, it's like, I'm not doing tech packs, as you know, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough to like get the point across. So practice makes perfect, but it also is like, at a certain point, you can do what you can do. I'm, for one, not like a fashion illustrator. And unfortunately, a lot of my FITM classes were like drawing the whole, like on the big paper, drawing the whole garment with the hands and the hair and the, oh my gosh, so many late nights spent like redrawing because I messed up the hands. Like it was horrible. And I don't do any of that now. I do everything on the computer. So Illustrator is definitely the one to know, one to get really good at. And, you know, my boss to this day is still super impressed that I can use Illustrator. So, you know, all the better. Oh, and it's called, someone in the chat said, Kristen, it's called Pret a Template. And I'm sure that's French, but I took Spanish in high school. This is what the icon looks like. Do you see it right there?
Yeah.
And I just started using Procreate. I like this better because it has the crow key and it's just easier. I know you could probably put a crow key in Procreate, but when I do graphics or artwork for t-shirts, I do that all in Illustrator too. I draw it on paper and then I take a picture. I'm like very old school, but it's just Illustrator is like my right hand. And I have a little Wacom tablet that I use too. So it's all about like, I know stuff's expensive and you're students, but like as you grow and continue to like do this stuff, you want to get the tools, try to get your job to buy them. That's always a good way. Like, I need this Wacom tablet. They'll be like, okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, it all kind of works together in a like seamless way.
I actually got that app,
Oh yeah.
an iPad and Apple Pencil because of you, because
Oh.
you showed me that last year and I was like, that is genius. I need it.
Yeah, it's good for like jotting down quick ideas too, because sometimes like, you might, I see like color combinations out in the world and I'm like, that's a shirt. And if I don't write it down, I'll never remember. So I always bring the iPad with me. Yeah, and the battery's almost always dead because I use it a lot. So it's a good tool.
Yeah. And then I have like a quick comment and a question.
Okay.
But basically just for you guys to know how in-depth the Camp Collection branding goes, I remember when I visited the Camp Collection booth at the Magic trade show, it literally blew my mind. It stood out like beyond everybody else's because Haley and her coworkers actually built a whole summer camp scene in this trade show, like complete with bunk beds and all the 90s toys, and you even had those candies. I can't remember which ones they were.
We had Fun Dip and candy necklaces and like a bunch of vintage candy.
Yeah, and it just stuck out, and it was just amazing. And my question is, how has your branding evolved since you started at the brand many years ago?
Oh, wow. I will say like being in a job for 6 years is a long time. Most people stay in a job for 2. That's like the average. So the fact that I've been hanging around just means that I love it so much and I love to like see where it's going. So when we started out in 2014, it was actually November 2014, we launched 2 colors of ringer tees and 2 sweatshirts, and we made 50 units of each item. So we had 200 units to start, and we launched it. And we actually had some really great press. We had some little articles written up about us, and we were just like, where are those orders at? So we didn't have a lot of like traffic to the website. People were reading the articles, but things were different then. It wasn't as easy to buy stuff. Like Instagram was still very new. It's so funny how fast things change now. But then we got a little traction. People were buying Christmas gifts. Holidays came and went, and we launched another collection. And we just kind of kept launching and kept building that momentum. We got a little mention on Vogue.com, which was really cool, and like sent a lot of traffic to our site. And we did a little collab with Urban Outfitters, and that was like huge because they ordered, I think, 400 units. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do we make 400? Because the funny thing, when I started, I was also the production manager, and I did not know how to run a production or like allocate trims for production or do any of that. But I really wanted to be the designer. So that was, it like kind of came with the job. So I thought, okay, if I can do this and like get it to a good enough place and get it organized that I can hire somebody else to do it, then I'll just be the designer. So that was like what I kept working toward too, is in addition to like launching new stuff and really building the brand, I was like, okay, I gotta make production so that I can teach it to somebody and make it easy enough, that someone right out of school could like jump right in and learn, which is eventually who we hired, was somebody who was like a recent graduate. And yeah, so I didn't answer your question at all, but basically everything has changed. The way the world works has changed. The way we sell things has changed. And luckily, like we've been on top of it, and like everyone on the team has been super open to like changing things and updating things and making sure that like, okay, we're going to try this new thing, and if it doesn't work, it's okay, and just being very like flexible. And I think that's probably the thing that's been the most consistent too, is our flexibility. So that doesn't answer your question. I know. Lots of things have changed is the answer.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I had comment question.
Yeah.
I start with comment first. Of course, I love the organization and that you have with your garments and the way you put your things together just for yourself. I know I work with a lot of people that have things that they want to keep organized, but it was refreshing to see that you keep everything aligned like that. That was like the first time I've ever seen anything like that
Thank
personally.
you. That means a lot to me because I am very organized, and you know, nobody sees that stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't like, you know, it's just for me, but yeah, it's important. So thank you.
Yeah. And then also Predator template, it was refreshing to hear that you use that because I think my freshman year here for the fashion program, I was doing illustration and I wanted to do it online, like all of it digitally. And I
Yeah.
started using that and I thought I was like not supposed to. So to see that it's working on such a high level is just really, really good to see.
Yeah, I actually was at an Apple store and I saw a little kid playing on an iPad on the app and just, you know, doing this on the iPad. And I was like, what is that? Because pretty much ever since I knew I wanted to do this type of work for a job, I was like, man, if this could only be like in your hands, you know, because I would carried a sketchbook around with me for years. And that's great, but like, you know, to bring all the colored pencils and all the stuff, it's just
Yes.
too much. So I waited till the kid was done, and then I picked up the iPad and I was like, I need someone to sell this to me immediately and tell me what's happening here. And I need the pencil and all the things. And since then, I mean, that was maybe like 3-4 years ago, like I haven't put it down. It's such a valuable tool for like working out ideas and trying to figure out like, okay, is this color gonna work? Like, this is not great. How can I improve? And then I do transfer it to my computer for like a backup, and I'll occasionally pull things in just to like show my boss like, oh, I have this idea. What do you think of this? And then, yeah, it's really just so much easier than trying to like draw my hand and take a picture and fill it in. So yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that it's like popular, because for a long time I was telling people about it. I was so excited and they were like, what, you draw on a person? I'm like, I can't. So it's nice that everyone here understands what this is.
It was when my dad gifted me my iPad and my
Yeah.
pencil, and he like I'm pretty sure he looked up on Google top 10 fashion drawing things. So like I
Yeah.
opened it and it was just Illustrator, Photoshop, and
Love
then
that.
template was on there. I was like, what is this? He was like, I don't know. It's just on there. So that's how I figured out that it even existed. So
Nice.
but my question
Yeah.
was from your brand imagery. I know it takes a lot of a lot of people need to know that information and need to see this presentation that you put together because it will really help a lot of people enhance their images and enhance their brand. But I want to know how long it took you to figure out that this was majorly important to like push forward your brand.
Do you mean like in terms of the way things look and like how
Yeah,
we use? Yeah.
'cause
So it also depends a little bit on the photographer we use. And the last several years, we've been using the same one, and she has a really distinct style too. So she's also super into like finding the props. Like, she is an eBay master. She can find anything on eBay. So having somebody like that, like on our team, really helps too. And she's freelance, but you know what I mean? Like in our team. But it took a while. The first couple lookbooks, like some of the, like the first one I remember was very like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like the old American Apparel billboards, like kind of like scandalous and like really short skirt. And we were like, oh, that's not really it. And then the next one, they were actually in like a log cabin and they just had way too many props. So it was like they had a record player and like all these thermoses, and they had a Volkswagen bus, and it was just like a lot going on, and the clothes were just ringer tees. So they were super simple. So it totally distracted from the clothes. But then it started to get a little better. We found our photographer who was also just starting out, and she really pared it down. She was like, okay, the only prop in this shot is going to be like a cool old like knitted Afghan blanket, and she's going to hold it like this, you know? So it helps to have people that really get it, but if they don't, you can sort of create the style guide using other people's imagery or just things that you like to try to help them understand. And when we go on shoots, our models don't always get it. So sometimes we'll like show them a past video, or we'll like, some of the models are very young, so they don't know like some of our references. So we'll like stop what we're doing and like play a song or like play a music video just to kind of show them like what we're trying to do. And once people are like in it, they get it, but it is hard to build. So you just have to like keep tweaking it every time. And like, if you're not happy with it, say something, see something, say something, and you'll just kind of grow into it. But now we're in a groove where it's like, how do we make it like new and different now? Because people kind of get it. So like, what do we do next? So that's the big question for 2021.
Hi, actually, I kind of had a question related to that. So I was gonna ask, like, how do you experiment and try new things and like, but while like, staying in line with the brand, like, because you want to stay in line with your brand, but then also you want to try new things.
Yeah, that's kind of where me and the creative director work really well together, because we both want what's best for the brand. So I'll show her all my ideas, I'll show her my iPad, and she'll kind of go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And deep down, it's like, oh, I worked really hard on that. Oh, I really love that. And if it's worth fighting for, I will fight for designs. But for the most part, like, she has a point, I'm known to use a lot of colors. So she'll sometimes say, okay, let's, tone it down a little bit, or maybe use one fewer color, or maybe make this color like cream, so it's not as in your face. Like, there's definitely like a bonus to having a partner like that you can bounce ideas off of. And if you don't, it's always good to have sort of like an inner circle of friends that you can bounce ideas off of too, because they'll help you, from an outsider's perspective, see like, whoa, that's kind of a lot, or like, oh, that's not enough. Like, why didn't you do something with the hair, So it really comes down to like hearing opinions, but like having a filter too. And I think that's what her and I do really well. It's like, we just bounce things off of each other and make sure that the person is not getting their feelings hurt either too.
And like, that was a great answer, by the way. But and then like, so do you think it's more important to like, or which one, not that like neither of them are important, but like, do you think it's more important to have like the attitude of the brand or like the aesthetics of the brand? Because, like, I know, I don't know, like Rihanna, she can rock anything, but it's also, I feel like it's because her attitude, you know?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do. For us, having like a very welcoming brand and like fun vibe atmosphere, it kind of informed the clothes, but also like having the fun, colorful elements on the clothes made it like that way. So you kind of need a little bit of both. And if you just focus on one thing, then like your product really has to stand alone. Like your product has to be like the most exciting thing. And unfortunately, like, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, the second we put something out, we like see it at the Gap and we're like, oh, like, how did that happen so quickly? Like, there's all sorts of things like going on. And the attitude is really important, but like I said, like, leading with the product is really important too. And I'm biased because I'm a product designer, but I will always like say, if you have a good product, like, the rest will just fall into place. So
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
I think Bella has her hand raised.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, hi. I have another question. How or what was the process for finding the fabric?
Oh, so that's actually an easy question. When I worked at Nation in LA, I got to know a lot of fabric vendors. So luckily through them, I kept in touch. And so what I'll do now, COVID, I'll have them send me swatches. So I have like header cards and stuff. And then our manufacturer actually works with a fabric supplier too. So he has a lot of our like red and cream and like basic colors. He has them in stock for us. So that really helps. That's very unique. Like that's not really common. But pretty much nowadays, like there's a textile show in LA twice a year, and they did it virtually this year, but that's a really good way to like find fabrics and meet vendors. Fabric vendors aren't the most tech savvy, so they don't always have a website, but it just kind of comes from, you know, you meet one, and then if you say like, oh, I like this, but do you know of anyone who does this kind of fabric? They might like send you to someone else, and there's not that many of them, so they all kind of know each other. And for me, I'm really focused on like the solid color stuff, so I pretty much stick to what our vendor has, and it makes it easy. But like if I want to do a stripe, I don't have anything here. If I want to do a stripe or something like fun, then I just kind of reach out to one of my fabric people and see what they have. So
Cool, thank you.
what else? This is so fun. I feel like I've never talked this much in the last 6 months.
Well, if no one else has any questions, then we could probably call it. But thank you so much, Haley. This was so informative.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work you put in.
Oh,
I feel like I learned more out of this than some of my classes. So I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, being an alum and like, you know, things were really different in 2008. Feeling like, okay, how am I going to try to do this? Like, I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know like where to go. I didn't know where to get fabric. I didn't know anything. And I just like moved to LA, went to FITM, did it. And pretty much everything I needed to know like came from that. So that was really great. But I love talking to you guys, and this is like the 4th year I've gotten to do it, and it's like such an honor to talk with you. And I hope that if this is the career you want to pursue, you know that like it doesn't happen overnight, but also like everything you're doing now is just building and working towards it. So keep at it and like don't give up, because it will get hard, it'll get harder, and then it'll get good, and then it'll get fun. So like just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm so glad I got to talk to all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
I love the silent clapping. That's like my favorite thing. I'm gonna take a screenshot of you guys. All right, well, I'm always available. So if you ever have somebody drop out and you want to do like a Q&A, this was super fun. So just hit me up, you know where I am. So
All right, sounds good.
all right, have a great night, everybody. And if you have school tomorrow, I'm sorry.
Have a great
I don't. All right, bye.